Have you ever looked at a truly great leader and just wondered, how did they do that? Were they just born with some kind of special sauce? Or did they build themselves into that person, step by step? It's the classic nature versus nurture debate, but for leadership. And today, we're going to dig in and try to get to the heart of what really makes a leader. You know, this isn't some new debate we just cooked up. People have been wrestling with this for centuries, from ancient philosophers all the way to modern business schools. They're all trying to crack the same code. Is leadership something you're born with, like it's in your DNA? Or is it a skill, something you can actually learn, practice, and get better at over time? That's the big question we're unpacking here. So let's really break it down. In one corner, you've got this idea of innate qualities. You know, that natural charisma that just pulls people in, or that gut instinct to see a path forward that nobody else does. But in the other corner, you have the argument that leaders are forged, not born, that they're shaped by the challenges they face, the mistakes they make, and the tough lessons they learn along the way. All right, let's play devil's advocate for a second and dive into the case for born leaders. This is the whole idea that some people just come pre-wired for the job, that they have the raw materials for leadership from day one. Okay, so this slide really lays out the two sides of the coin. Let's focus on that left column for a minute, innate qualities. This is the core of what's sometimes called the great man theory. The idea is that certain personality traits, like being super outgoing, naturally confident, or just incredibly resilient to stress, are basically hardwired. Proponents of this would argue you don't really learn these things. They're just a fundamental part of who you are. But, of course, that's only half the story. So let's flip it around and look at the other side of the argument, the belief that great leaders aren't born, they're made. Now, shifting our eyes to that second column, experience and learning, this perspective says leadership isn't some exclusive club you have to be born into. Nope, it's a craft. It's something you develop through hard work, things like strategic thinking, communicating effectively, building empathy. You learn it through practice, from mentors, and by getting knocked down and getting back up again. This theory says anyone, and I mean anyone, can build themselves into a leader if they're willing to put in the work. So, you might be thinking, okay, born or made, why do we get so hung up on this? Well, it actually matters a ton because it changes everything about how we look for and develop talent. But whether it's a gift or a skill, one thing is absolutely for sure. The quality of leadership can make or break a team, a company, you name it. Let me put it as simply as I can. Good leadership isn't just a nice little bonus. It's the engine of success. Seriously. You could have the most amazing product or the most brilliant idea in the world, but without a strong leader to guide the way, it's probably just going to sputter out and go nowhere. And here's how they make that happen. First, they drive the strategy. They're the ones who put a destination on the map. But a map's no good if you're standing still, right? So then they power the implementation, turning that plan into real action. And when things get messy and unpredictable, they navigate change, steering the ship through the storm. But maybe most important of all, they inspire trust. That's the glue. That's what holds the whole thing together. Okay, so we've talked about the big picture impact, but what does a leader actually do? What does it look like on the ground, day in and day out? Let's break down those core responsibilities. So you can see here, leadership isn't just a single event. It's a cycle. It's a process that never really stops. It all kicks off with crafting a clear strategy. Then that vision has to be brought to life through implementation. Along the way, you're guaranteed to hit bumps in the road, so a leader has to guide the team through all that change. And woven through every single step, they have to be constantly building and earning the trust that makes it all possible. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly sums up the entire journey. It shows that being a leader isn't about being good at just one thing. It's about being able to handle the whole spectrum, from that first spark of an idea all the way through to building a team that trusts you to get them to the finish line. So when you look at all of this, you start to wonder, maybe we've been asking the wrong question this whole time. Maybe it doesn't really matter if you're born with potential or if you have to build it from scratch. Because think about it, raw talent is totally useless if you don't use it, and learned skills don't mean a thing until you apply them. So the real question isn't about where leaders come from, it's a choice. When the moment arrives, when the team is looking to you, will you lead